Hey everyone, Pete here. I'm one of the guys from knifeup.com, and you'll notice that I'm not in the wilderness today, outdoors. I'm actually in my garage. Part of the reason is that the weather is not great outside, and the other reason is that over my shoulder right here, I've got a whole pile of camping gear, and I've got a canoe over my shoulder over here. We figure, even though the name of the website is Knife Up, what better place to use a knife than when you're camping, or fishing, or canoeing, or hiking, or hunting, whatever you're into. That's kind of what we're all about as well. So one of the things that we really like to, I particularly like to go on wilderness canoe trips for days or even weeks at a time. But I've got a bit of a problem, and I suspect, in fact I know that some of you have the same problem. And what I'm talking about is, in my case, I have type 1 diabetes. Here's my good old medical alert bracelet. All that really means is that I just have to be really, really careful about how I approach things. I can still do most things anybody can do, but yeah, I've got to take some precautions. And so one of those is, how do you deal with going on long trips, excursions in the wilderness with diabetes? We have an article on our website that deals with that and gets into some details, and there's a lot of tips and tricks and information there, so I encourage you to check that out. But I'm not going to go through all those details right now. That'll be kind of a long, boring video of watching me just drone on here. So what I'll do though, I will touch on about 3 things that might just sort of get you thinking along those lines and maybe get you interested to check out the rest of them on our website. If you have diabetes, you'll know what this is. Good old diabetes pen, or insulin pen. Technically, they should be kept cool, but they can be taken out of refrigeration for about 30 days. If you're on a camping trip, they can get your insulin can get not only not refrigerated, but it can actually get warm, which is really bad. Okay, if it's just room temperature, it's okay for about 30 days. But chances are it'll get warm. So I tend to like to keep it cool. And if you're at an established campground, like a state park or something, where there's like a gatehouse, and somebody at the gate, well, that's easy. You just go there and you buy they'll have those big white boxes filled with ice blocks or bags, and you just throw one of those into like a regular cooler and you're good. So that's easy. But there's 2 problems with that. Number 1, you have to be at such a campground where they sell ice. In my case, that doesn't happen often because I go on, canoe trips in the wilderness for many days and even weeks at a time. Of course, the other problem is kind of an interesting thing. We get emails from people who tell us how they take their insulin and they put it in a Ziploc bag and they put it in their cooler, and of course the ice eventually melts, and I got flies in here. The ice eventually melts, and it leaks into their Ziplocs, and it ruins an entire batch of test strips, blood glucose test strips, and that can bring an end to your trip right away. So it's kind of important that you take extra special precautions to make sure that nothing gets ruined if you have a cooler. So. The other thing is, now I'm talking to you about how to keep insulin cool, but so you all know what this is. It's a blood glucose meter that you put the test strips in and you check your glucose levels in your blood. It's important, on the other hand, to keep this meter warm-ish, or at least like room temperature. If you're camping in the summertime, it should be fine. If you're camping when it's colder, wintertime, you want to keep that less than cold. If it's cold, it'll probably still work, but you might not get the right readings. So that's just a bit of a warning on that. So I would keep it on my body. I would put it in my sleeping bag at night. All right. So the third thing is that you got to keep in mind, I really think, it's my opinion, that we use our cell phones way too much. We rely on them for way too many things. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details there. I have one, and it's great for many things, but you got to be near, if you're camping, you got to be near somewhere where you can charge the thing, number 1. And number 2, you really should be in an area that you have a signal so you can use it as a phone. In my case, I don't even bring one with me when I go. There's no signal where I go, and if I did have it with me, the battery wouldn't last long enough to make it, useful for a week. So pertaining to diabetes, specifically when I bring up the cell phone issue because when I have a blood sugar low, I know it. I can feel it. I feel kind of woozy and dizzy. But the crazy thing is that sometimes that happens in the middle of the night, and I just wake up right away. So thankfully, my body has a way of telling me that I got a low blood. It just won't let me sleep. So that's great, and I appreciate that, but it's not good enough for me to know that I have low blood sugar. I need to know what the reading is, because that will dictate how I take care of it, how much glucose that I will ingest to bring my blood sugar levels up a bit. So I need to check my levels, of course, with the meter, but it's dark in the middle of the night. So how do you do it? Well, if I had a cell phone, you just turn the flashlight thing on. You just turn the phone on. You don't even need to use the flashlight. It's bright enough you can read it. But I don't have one with me because it's not very useful in my case. So what would I suggest? Well, I personally suggest the good old tactical flashlight. You can get these pretty much anywhere. The batteries last forever. It's just like one little LED light that's super bright. We have some on our website. You can go to Amazon and get them as well. So strongly suggest that. I have about 4 or 5 of them. That would be, I don't even go anywhere without it where I'm going to spend, more than a few hours away from home. So that's how much I use mine. Those are a few tips, tricks. If you have any use of this type of information in the future, we're going to make a whole lot more videos. You can subscribe to our channel below. Otherwise, hopefully we'll see you next time, or you'll see me next time. If you drop by, we really appreciate you stopping by. And until next time, take care.